Let me be absolutely clear about what you are about to hear, because if these reports are even fractionally true, what I'm going to tell you right now will fundamentally reshape the entire global financial landscape, and more importantly, it will completely redefine your personal wealth and the future of your family for generations to come. Stunning and frankly unbelievable reports are exploding across alternative financial news channels and dedicated investor forums, claiming that the internal screens at two of America's most monolithic financial institutions, Chase Bank and Wells Fargo, have begun displaying exchange rates for the Iraqi Dinar and the Vietnamese dong that are nothing short of earth-shattering. We are not talking about the minuscule, incremental movements we've become accustomed to watching for years. We are talking about a full-scale monumental revaluation, with the Iraqi Dinar, or IQD, allegedly showing at a staggering $5.04, and the Vietnamese dong, the VND, appearing at $3.96. Let that sink in for just a single moment. If you hold 1 million Iraqi Dinar, which you might have purchased for around $700 to $800 US, that same stack of currency would suddenly be valued at over 5 million American dollars. This isn't just a profit, this is a life-altering, paradigm-shattering wealth transfer of a scale that most people cannot even begin to conceptualize, and it's precisely this dizzying potential that has fueled a decades-long global investment phenomenon known as the RV, or revaluation. For years, millions of people, from everyday folks hoping for secure retirement to sophisticated high net worth individuals, have been accumulating these currencies based on a core belief that their official values are grossly misaligned with the true economic potential and intrinsic wealth of their respective nations. In this moment, this specific screenshot from a Chase branch or Wells Fargo terminal is being hailed as the Holy Grail, the definitive proof that the wait is finally over. But before you let that surge of adrenaline completely take over, before you start mentally designing your dream home or writing your resignation letter, we have to press pause on the euphoria and engage in a level of critical, dispassionate, and ruthless analysis that this situation desperately demands. The very first and most critical question we must confront is a simple one: is this real? Can we independently verify with 100% certainty that these screenshots are authentic and not a sophisticated digital fabrication created with photo editing software that any moderately skilled person can access? The digital age is a double-edged sword. While it gives us instant access to information, it also provides bad actors with powerful tools to create incredibly convincing forgeries designed to go viral and manipulate public sentiment for a variety of ulterior motives. Furthermore, even if the image itself is not a digital fake, we have to consider the possibility of a localized glitch or a test within the bank's internal system. Banking software is immensely complex, processing millions of data points every second, and it is not entirely unheard of for strange, anomalous numbers to appear temporarily due to a software update, a data feed error, or an internal test that was never meant to be seen by the public. So the existence of a screenshot in and of itself, while electrifying, does not constitute irrefutable proof. It is a data point, a single piece of a much larger and more complex puzzle, and we must now look for corroborating evidence from other, independent sources to see if this story holds any water beyond a single, unverified image that could have originated from anywhere in the world. So if a single screenshot isn't enough to hang our dreams on, where do we turn for that crucial corroborating evidence? And what does the broader landscape tell us about the plausibility of such a monumental shift happening right under our noses? Let's first dissect the specific numbers being reported. $5.04 for the Iraqi Dinar and $3.96 for the Vietnamese dong. To understand why these figures are so explosively significant, we have to contrast them with the current official exchange rates that the global financial system operates on today. As of right now, the Iraqi Dinar trades at approximately 1,310 IQD for $1 US. Dollar, meaning a single dinar is worth a fraction of a cent, and the Vietnamese dong sits at around 25,000 VND for $1 US, making its individual value even smaller. Proposed new rates don't represent a slight appreciation. They represent a cataclysmic revaluation of over 6,000 times for the dinar and over 99,000 times for the dong, a move so violent and unprecedented in modern financial history that it would instantly vaporize the existing global economic order and rewire the entire concept of foreign exchange markets. Now, for such an event to be real and not just a glitch, we would expect to see seismic ripples, if not tidal waves, across every other financial data provider and trading platform on the planet. We are talking about Bloomberg terminals, Reader's Icon XE, and the Forex trading accounts at every major international bank from Citibank to HSBC. All of them will be flashing these new, world-changing numbers simultaneously. The silence from these established mainstream financial data streams is, for skeptics, the most deafening argument against the validity of the Chase and Wells Fargo screens. This silence leads us to the two dominant, competing narratives trying to explain what might be happening. The first narrative, the one embraced by the hopeful investor community, is that this is a controlled, deliberate, and phased rollout of the new rates, starting with the internal systems of specific U.S. banks as a precursor to a global public announcement, a so-called soft launch to ensure system stability before flipping the final switch for worldwide trading. Proponents of this view point to historical precedents of currency revaluations, though none on this scale, and suggest that the geopolitical stakes, particularly for Iraq, are so high that a managed, quiet transition is necessary to avoid chaotic market speculation and potential social unrest. They argue that the very fact it's appearing on the screens of Tier 1 U.S. banks lends it a credibility that a random website never could, implying a level of official sanction, or at the very least advanced preparation within the U.S. banking system for a new financial reality. The second, more cautious narrative is that this is a classic example of confirmation bias, meeting the powerful rumor mill of the internet. For over 2 decades, investors in the dinar and dong have been waiting for this exact moment, consuming a steady diet of cryptic intel from gurus analyzing obscure banking documents and interpreting geopolitical events through the lens of an imminent RV. In this environment, a single unverified piece of evidence, like a screenshot, can be amplified and disseminated with lightning speed, not because it's verified, but because it perfectly fits the pre-existing, deeply held belief system of a massive and eager audience. The motivation behind creating such a forgery could range from simple mischief and a desire for online clout to something far more manipulative, such as a coordinated pump and dump scheme designed to artificially inflate the value of these currencies in the unregulated secondary market where investors often sell to each other, allowing the originators of the rumor to sell their own holdings at a temporarily inflated price before the truth emerges and the value collapses. This is the harsh, binary crossroads we find ourselves at. Either we are witnessing the carefully orchestrated beginning of the most significant wealth transfer in human history, conducted with such stealth that the mainstream financial media has yet to detect it, or we are observing the latest and most sophisticated iteration of a hope-fueled myth that has, once again, captured the imagination of millions. Therefore, having navigated the turbulent waters of unverified reports, historical context, and competing narratives, we arrive at the most critical juncture of all, the crossroads of information and action, where you must decide what this all means for you personally and what your very next step should be in a situation that is so deliberately shrouded in ambiguity and charged with powerful emotion. The fundamental truth you must anchor yourself to right now is that regardless of the dizzying potential or the convincing testimonials you may encounter online, the absolute, unassailable fact is that as of this very moment, you cannot walk into a bank or a currency exchange and trade your Iraqi Dinar or Vietnamese dong at a rate of $5 or nearly $4. The official, actionable rates remain exactly where they have been, a stark reality that forms the bedrock upon which you must build your strategy. This is not meant to shatter your hope, but to fortify your position with a dose of sobering pragmatism, because the single greatest risk in a high-stakes environment like this is not necessarily missing out. It is making a catastrophic financial decision based on incomplete or deliberately falsified information. Let's be brutally honest about the psychological game being played here. The very design of this rumor, its placement on the screens of iconic banks, and the specific, life-changing numbers quoted are all engineered to trigger a primal response, bypassing your logical mind and speaking directly to your deepest desires for financial freedom and security. And when you are in that emotionally elevated state, you are far more susceptible to making impulsive moves, such as frantically buying more currency at a premium from a secondary dealer, based on the fear of being left behind, or making large, irreversible life decisions on the promise of a wealth that has not yet materialized. This is the precise moment where you must shift your mindset from being a passive consumer of potentially groundbreaking news to becoming an active, discerning, and unshakably rational investigator of your own financial future. Your immediate action plan should be methodical and disciplined. First, you must become a verification machine, which means you need to demand multiple independent and on-the-ground confirmations from disparate sources that are not all quoting the same original, unverified screenshot. This means checking live financial news from Reuters and Bloomberg, monitoring the official Forex rates on platforms like XE and OAD. And if you are truly serious, the most definitive step you could take is to personally visit or have a trusted contact Visit a local branch at Chase or Wells Fargo and politely inquire about the current buy-sell rates for the Iraqi Dinar and Vietnamese dong, because a first-hand account from a bank officer carries infinitely more weight than any anonymous online post. Second, you must conduct a ruthless audit of your own sources of information. Ask yourself who is promoting this narrative. What is their track record over the past 5 or 10 years? And what is their potential motivation? Are they selling premium subscription services, promoting specific currency dealers, or building a personal brand based on being an insider? If their financial incentive is tied to keeping you in a perpetual state of excited anticipation, then you must view their intel through that lens of inherent conflict of interest. And finally, you must make peace with the two possible outcomes simultaneously: the outcome where this is real and the outcome where it is not. This means guarding your heart against the euphoria that can lead to devastating financial missteps, while also quietly and prudently having a plan in place for what you would do if, against all odds, this unprecedented event actually transpires. A plan that involves consulting with a certified financial planner, a tax attorney, and a wealth management advisor to navigate the complex aftermath of a sudden windfall. Because the transition from ordinary citizen to multimillionaire overnight is a psychological and logistical minefield that has shattered many lives. The ultimate power in this situation does not lie with the gurus, the screenshots, or the rumors. The power resides squarely with you, your ability to think critically, your discipline to verify before you trust, and your courage to base monumental decisions on a foundation of cold, hard facts rather than hot, viral hope. So I am putting the ball directly in your court now, because the next chapter of this story will be written by your actions. I want you to go into the comments section below right now and tell me one thing. What is the single most important step you are going to take in the next 24 hours to verify this information for yourself? Are you going to call your local bank branch? Are you going to cross-reference 3 different Live Forex feeds? Are you going to research the legalities of large currency exchanges in your country? Share your personal action plan down in the comments, because this is how we build a community of smart, savvy, and proactive investors who rely on each other for verified data, not just shared hope. And while you're down there, if you found this deep dive valuable, if you appreciate an approach that prioritizes evidence over emotion, then hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on those notifications, because we are going to be monitoring this situation relentlessly, and you will be the first to know when we have concrete, verifiable, and actionable information to share. The journey is far from over, and what happens next depends entirely on the choices we make today.